Long welcome to this week's episode of Mount Mindset. We've got Kyle Ritchie back in the hot seat. We're going to go over his last 3 months of mentorship. He's been on the visualization calls in the morning. He's been pushing through less than optimal sleep, whatever that may be, and he's pushing the limits of what he was thought was possible and going and shattering that glass ceiling. So we're going to dig into his story. We're going to find out what he did, what resistance he faced, what his inner voice was like, how many takes it took him to do this simple video, which is funny in of itself, and the little subtle change that he made to something he does every day that made a massive shift in how he sees himself and how he feels about himself. And it's one of those things that if you can make these little shifts, you get these massive alignments in how you feel and how you feel about yourself. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So we've got you in the hot seat, Kyle. And what we're going to go over today is your rather extreme change that's happened over the last few months. And that changes came from, we are doing some work together. We'll get into that. But before we get into that, let's explore what happened before that. Like, what was going on with you? How were things going? And what made you think, hey, look, I'm wanting to get a mentor?
Probably just the one phrase would just be an endless roundabout. I was just completely around in circles, 100 ideas, not executing on one of them. And that was creating a lot of brain fog, a lot of overwhelm, procrastination. The scenario I was in was like the results were the same. And I was then expecting the same results, not thinking anything would really get better. I didn't realize that until we obviously started working together, because as soon as you started to question me in ways that hadn't been questioned before, I realized what the fuck I was doing. Like, it was scarcity mindset. I was procrastinating. I wasn't executing on one thing, like you said.
Like, what did you recognize before? Like, so you were saying that you were on the merry-go-round. Like, what did one day you just go, oh, I've got an epiphany, I need to change my game? Or was it something that happened over time?
Well, I noticed that the results were the same. Like, I was capped at like $5,000 a month. And it was like $5,000 a month. And it was almost like I started to tell myself that, oh, it's fine because I'm making $5,000 a month this month. It wasn't like, oh, let's aim for 20 or let's aim for 10. It wasn't anything like that. It was pure accepting this thing that I was just set at this fucking standard.
And why was that a bad thing?
Because do you want to know the actual turning point in my fucking mind? It was when I overheard you on a call with Jack, and Jack said one thing about a female therapist, and you were like, have you even considered the time that's going to take up with it, blah, blah, blah. And Jack started to think deeper into it, and he was like, that idea I had was fucking dog shit. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And therefore, I started to question myself, and I'm thinking, how many things like that am I thinking about or putting out there in my mind, or saying ideas, and they probably don't really make any real sense, like to a deep level. Like, I'm probably saying things that aren't as well thought out as I think they are. And I was like, well, if I'm doing that all the time, and Jack right now is getting answers to those questions, Jack's going to be on a bullet train, like you said, and I'm going to be floating about $5,000 a month. So that was a kind of turning point when I heard Jack on a call with you, and I was like, well, Jack's just thought that was a really good idea. And I thought it was a good idea what Jack said. Mm-hmm. And the way that you responded to it made him essentially look like he was talking fucking shit out his arse. And the way that I took that in was, I'm doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I know that you would give me the same response as you gave Jack. So that was it. That was the turning point in my mind where I was like, nah, I need to lock in.
And were you thinking about, like, beforehand, it sounds like it was sticking in your brain where you're like, this, surely $5,000 can't be the ceiling, but I seem to have this glass roof that I can't break through. And I've got loads of these ideas and I'm not really pulling the trigger on any of them. Yeah. And then how do I get through the glass ceiling? And you just seem to be in like limbo.
Yeah. Well, I was almost couldn't see how you'd make more money. Like I couldn't see, like, obviously to give the people listening a little bit of an idea, right? So I was capping myself at charging 3 months coaching for £500.
Yeah.
I've recently transitioned into, say, like 6 months for $2,500.
Yeah.
So like, you could then sell 4 packages or 4 offers to 4 people and make what, 10 grand in a month. Yeah. So it's like that. I went from the most I can charge up front is 500 to I could easily charge someone $2,500 for this different service. So the position I was in at that point when I was limiting myself, I just couldn't see how I could make 10 grand a month because my mind was programmed to make 5 grand a month. So as soon as we started to build out the vision, I don't know if I'm skipping ahead here, but as soon as we started to build out the vision, and in my 12-month vision, it was £20,000 a month. That's what I wanted to bring in the 12 months. As soon as we locked that in, my brain was then conditioned to start seeing ways in which I could make a lot more money than just £5,000 a month. And then it went from, well, maybe if I charged for 6 months up front, that means I could get more cash in, and then up my monthly revenue, which is obviously what I've done. I started to package my offer into more than 500 for 3 months, but I was doing the 6 month packages, and then obviously in January more than doubling my revenue previously.
Well, I mean, it seems like I remember when you came on and you were like, I'm interested in this, and like the first thing that I'll do is I'll establish where you're at. Like, and the thing with younger entrepreneurs is they tend to talk big hype, talk big game, right? Fair enough, fair play, nothing wrong with that. But it's difficult to separate what's the real and what's nonsense, and I mean nonsense in the terms of ideas that haven't been executed. So they can talk about, well, if I did this, like nonsense ideas sound like this, but if I did this, I would make that, and it is very doable. Okay, have you done it? No. Okay, then it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Let's shake all the nonsense out. Let's see what comes out. What have you got? And this is the thing is that you're getting rid of, you're essentially, it's like, if you go into a room and there's just loads and loads of clutter and somebody says, can you see it? You're like, all I can see is like clutter everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's all great clutter and it's great, it's amazing, and it'd be great. And you're like, right, let's empty the room and see what we have. And you empty the room and then you can actually see what's in the room. And it's clearing that clutter out the way that was the first sort of port of call, because one of the things that's common is people get stuck. And the reason they get stuck is they're looking at too many things, too many different directions. And then it's like imagine you put a sat nav for a destination in your phone, right? And the sat nav plans out 300 routes to the destination. Yeah. And you start going, I fucking don't know. Like, what is that one? Should I pick this one? Maybe that one's better. Like, you just end up overloaded with choice, and you don't actually go in any of them.
Yeah.
So you need it filtered down, where the route it goes, what's the fastest? What's got the least traffic? Give me the 2 routes. And this is what we were doing with you, because what it was, when you first came to me, it was like, right, look, I'm young, I'm excited to get ahead in business. I've spotted that my mindset, more importantly, my mindset is not where it needs to be, because I seem to be programming myself to keeping this hard limit in terms of what I can bring. And then that's restricting what I can do in terms of business, because all the things where I want to take it to the next level seems to be getting pulled back by this like glass ceiling that I've got.
Yeah.
So I can't see a way breaking through it. And that was what my initial sort of thoughts were on where you were at.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said there though, procrastination was like my biggest thing. Like, I hadn't put together a lead magnet for 9 months, and within a week and a half of us locking in, I had sent you over, I don't know how many fucking different like drafts of the same thing. Remember the inconsistency fucking lead magnet? But I got that done within 2 weeks, like fully functioning landing page, link set up, and it took me 9 months previous to doing that. So the procrastination there as well, I feel like the accountability was a big part of it, like the actual like hounding me to get it done. But I also feel like as soon as the vision was a bit clearer, it allowed me to actually see what needed to get done to move forward.
Yeah. So like for people that don't understand, like we'll go back to where you were at. Where you were at was you weren't really clear on what your vision was to be. You didn't have a clear path. You had loads of ideas of what you'd have liked it to be, but none of them could form into a vision because you didn't have a place to aim at.
No.
So you just had this loads and loads. It's like, I'm stuck in idea land. Not actually going anywhere, but I've just got them. I can conceptualize loads of stuff, but I'm executing on nearly none of them. And I've got this glass ceiling of $5,000, and I think I should be doing better. And I don't know why I'm not. And I was stuck. Like, what was it like feeling like that?
I feel, it's actually it's generally hard to go back into that headspace because of how much I've shifted in the last like 3 months. But
that's a good sign.
It's really good. But I can't actually, to really think like, deeply about it. Not to throw any shade or anything, right? But I was obviously in like a coaches like mentorship group, And it was kind of like a lot of the ceilings were set because of the other coaches, like
Right.
because of the comparison to other people that were like maybe doing really well or not really well, or like there's kind of middle ground of 5K. And there was always these kind of brackets of like 3 to 5K, and it's like 7+. Now I always I genuinely was programmed from that to think if you're making $5,000, that's where you fall into. But if you're making $7,000 or plus, then you go into this bracket. And I was almost like, actually, it was a big part of it. I never even said that out loud, but I actually not as you asked me that question there. I always set that like $5,000 as like that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So as I was doing that, I was identifying as someone that made $5,000. I think that's a big part of the concept of myself at that point. I identified as someone who was making $5,000. Whereas what we've started to do is we started to shift the identity of who I was into what would it be like if you're making $20,000?
So go back to where you were, like, if you can try and remember what it was like. Now, obviously, you'll struggle because I've done that much work with you that I've detached that
Fully,
feeling.
honestly, it's mad. Actually, it's mad.
I've detached that feeling. It's like letting go of an anchor.
Yeah.
It's like something that you're tied to and we've just snapped it off. But if you can imagine what it was like back then, when you imagine what it was like when you were there in the frustration, the frustration at being procrastinating all the time, and the frustration of not really having a goal and feeling a wee bit, that there was something amiss, that you were in this bracket of 5K. Like, surely I must be better than this, but they say that I'm supposed to be in this bracket, and should I be in this bracket? But I've got big plans.
Yeah.
And let me find a way to I want to get past it, but I just can't seem to get out this bracket, because it seems to be that I've engineered my brain into thinking that that's all that there is.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have felt like a bit, like you were spinning your wheels.
No, it fully did. But I'm fucking struggling to go back into it. I swear I'm
So
really,
for everybody that doesn't know, I've done a bit of hypnosis work with a lot of hypnosis work and suggestion, and helping remove the bad wiring and replacing that with good positive wiring, and to help you engineer the thought patterns that will make you extremely productive and get high resilience, high response, and will open your mind to the opportunities that are right in front of you. And it's disconnecting the old and plugging in the new. So that's why you're finding it so tricky to go back.
I can remember when we were on one of the morning calls with Gio, one of the things he said at the end of the call was, you don't need to worry, because now your mind is programmed for success. And like, see, since you, like one of those calls, I can't remember how, maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whenever it was, but genuinely since that call, I have had no doubt that it's going to happen. Obviously, there's been a bit of lack of clarity, and there's been a bit of like brain fog with it.
That's all right. It's completely normal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, even at that, it's like now I still have a bit of lack of clarity. Like today, funnily enough, today when we were shooting this podcast, this morning I had like the biggest realization of my fucking life of the actual direction I want to move in. So even after a few months of work, there was still fucking fog. There was still lack of clarity.
But the thing being is that you always get the questions, and you can sometimes get the you need to clear up the vision. And it feels like lack of clarity, but what it is you're going through the process of becoming more clear.
Yeah.
You're asking the right questions, but what you're in is in a state of action.
Yes.
Like, you're not in a state of inaction, and procrastination, doubt, fear. You're in a state of, how do I get there? What do I want? How do I want it to look?
It's mad it doesn't feel like that though.
It doesn't.
That's crazy.
Isn't
That's because I mean, this, don't know about anyone else, but this conversation's for me really shifted my mind, because it doesn't feel like that. It genuinely feels that when, I know we're maybe go back to how I was before, just to give a little bit more relation to kind of how that feels. But
you know how difficult, like, as much as it's difficult, you know how like stuck you felt, and annoyed at how stuck you felt, and the frustration that you felt.
Yeah.
And then people that have been watching your transformation over the last 3 months, I'll be like, how's this guy changed? Like, he's doing stuff really, really differently, and it's because the idea that you can't change rapidly is so wrong. If you have a vision to change, which is to make a shift, and you know why, you will move heaven and earth. And heaven and earth doesn't need to be moved in 10 years. You can move it right now, and you can make massive changes and massive shifts, but it begins in the mind. Before you make those massive shifts and changes, you need to prime the mind to be in the right state to do it. And that is where all the work is done, is putting you in state for you to go, I know what the right questions are, I know what the right actions are, I know to believe in myself, I know to have confidence in myself. And I know that even if I take a wrong turn, I'm going to get right back and figure. That means that I've got one that I can rule out and get on the next one and the next one, because I know I'll get there.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
That is so powerful. But during the process of finding what it is, though, like you said, there, it's not felt like I've been taking action in the last maybe couple of weeks, because I was really clear. Smash January, and obviously we didn't smash January. We'll speak about that, but
we'll come on to that.
but in comparison,
that's a good one.
I think no, but the first 2 weeks, I'd secured like the amount I actually ended up bringing in.
Yeah.
I'd secured that within 2 weeks. So like, the second 2 weeks was just like, again, the fog came in again, fucking. But this is what I'm saying. During the time of what do I really want, although that is taking action, that's class. I'm really fucking happy that I've realised that, because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like when you've not got the answer, but there's a lack of certainty and you're not the guy that has the answers, therefore you reinforce that as negative evidence to feel shit off the back of.
Well, what fun would life be if you just had all the answers for everything that you were ever going to do? There would be the purpose of it.
It's a good question.
The purpose of life is that you don't have all the answers, and the experiences, you need to figure it out.
It's the fun part.
And that is where you find the fun. Now you can get caught up and play the victim, and it's so sad, and woe is me. And you can get significance because people go, oh, poor you. But it's a shithole to be in.
Yeah.
Or you can say, okay, where do I want to go? How do I find answers? Where would the people that have got these answers be? How do I get in touch with them? How can I copy them? How can I replicate them? How can I follow what they do? How can I check what they have done, how they figured it out? Because there's nothing new under the sun. What you're planning to do has been done so many times before, and there'll be someone that's really good at it. And you go, I'm going to ask them, or I'm going to work with them, or I'm going to pick their brain, or I'm going to follow their stuff, or I'm going to read the book. And this is the thing, is the life and the significance and purpose of your life is so much more value because you don't know the answers. And it's the whole process of finding the answers. It's like the life's version of a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You're going to look into loads of places and not find the answer, but it's the art of getting out there and getting looking. I'm going to look here, I'm going to look there, I'm going to look there. What like it's like treasure hunt. What would be the purpose of a treasure hunt if you were like, yeah, I know what it is, it's over there, just go straight there.
Yeah.
There would be no excitement about it. So life is exciting because you don't have the answers. But as you said, you can frame it that it's negative and doubt. No. It isn't that. It's the fact that you should be looking. You should be checking out what's under the rocks. You know, on the treasure hunt analogy,
Yeah.
You should be going and having a look. And every time you get a wrong answer, it's just taking you closer to the right answer because you're looking, and you're going to, if you know what you're looking for, you're going to find it. So don't stop looking. But you're going back to when you were going through this shift, we start having a conversation, we find out where you're at. It's safe to say that it wasn't resistance free for you.
Oh, it was fucked. It was actually fucked at the start. See, I always think about this as well, right? When I'm like balls deep in doing something that's quite difficult or lengthy, right? I think to myself while I'm doing it, if I knew what I would have had to go through to get that result, I probably wouldn't have fucking done it. So see that first week that we locked in, and you're like, what the fuck are you, like, it was the voice, the lead magnet video that I was sending you. The amount of resistance I had, like I'll show you my phone, I don't think I've showed you that. There was like 70 takes, like 80 takes of the one video, and you told me it was shit. And I was like, what the fuck have I spent 3 hours trying to do that one video. And then I took another week to get another draft over to you that was like 70 takes again. You're like, still fucking shit. What the fuck are you doing? And then I done it, the last time I done it like 1 or 2 times and I got it, nailed it. But the amount of resistance was crazy. And I like every single night, and people will relate to this so much, you're going to do it and you know what you need to do, but you convince yourself that you're not going to do it. Right. So for me, it could be like, it generally could be waste time and do something else that seems productive, like a smaller task that doesn't really necessarily give you anything back. Or it could generally just like being transparent, go and smoke a joint because you've had a busy day and you can chill out and relax or whatever that is. But you find yourself, and because of how accountable you were keeping me, I have a lot of respect for Gio. I knew I was doing it to myself. So therefore, I still sent you the video. But it took me 3 hours and 70 takes, but I still got it done. But
and it was interesting from my side because we discussed this, and the great thing that you've got is you'll ask the right questions Where initially there was a lot of resistance was, I would say, right, Kyle, here is what you need to do. This thing should look like this. So it should have this part, and this part.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. You would take 70 takes and then send me something completely different. I'm like, what the fuck is this you've sent?
Yeah.
Right. I've said it's this part, and this part. Go and do it again. And then you would go, and I'm like, how are you getting this wrong? Like, how is it possible that you get this wrong? And then it got to the point where I says, right, here is what this would sound like. And I gave you an example, and I'm like, do not fucking send me anything else that isn't like this. And you're like, okay, 2 takes here. I'm like, what the fuck was all that about?
Aye. What was it about?
You were just like, nah, well, I was wanting it to be just perfect. There was this whole obsession with it needing to be right and delivering value and all. I'm like, it's a lead magnet. You're fucking like, you don't need to be delivering massive value and it to be lengthy and for people to, see you as an authority in the space. It is, right? Do you know their problem? Yes, you do. You've experienced the problem. You know how they feel. You know what it's like. It's terrible when you feel stuck. It's like that, just like you're saying, it's like you're procrastinating and you're frustrated with yourself and you think, why am I not doing this? That would be a problem. And then you say, isn't it terrible when you sit there and you're driving and you think, why have I not done that yet? And then you see other people doing it and you know that you can do as good a job or better a job. And you get even more annoyed that you've not done it. And then you go, I need to fix this. And then one day you solve it. And you go, what was all that about?
It's always a simple solution as well.
And it's like you say to people, look, are you like this? Yes. Well, do you want to fix it? I would love to fix it. Right. Stop your nonsense. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what was going on, is you were trying to make something more complicated than what it was. And you felt that it needed to be more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And that was what was in the way. I'm like, just go and make this. Go and make this simple bit.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah. And then when you done it, it was like you were bewildered. You're like, that's it done. And I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's how to do it. Go and stick that on. You're like, that kind of epiphany moment where you're like, that penny's dropped. Why was I doing all this sort of beating around the bush and, making it, blowing it out of proportion? So, when you get somebody that has a wee tiny problem and then they have this whole theatrical response where they're blowing it way out of proportion, and you think, man, what? Why are you blowing this out of proportion? Well, it was similar to that in that you felt that it had to be more and bigger and larger than what this thing required. And then you thinking it needed to be that, and then me saying it had to be smaller, you were like, no, surely it can't be like that.
Yeah.
And you were stuck between two places. And when you eventually done one, it became all clear and you were like, oh yeah, I get it. And this is the thing, like if you think of in days gone by, when people learn things, like, and if you take, like, the journey of life is about you not knowing the answers and you go and find answers and you have this experience where you figure out things through life. People used to have craftsmen and they would learn a craft, and then the apprentice would come in and he would then train under, the watchful eye of a master craftsman, and they would learn the skills and the art and all the secrets.
Yeah.
But he would go between the master and the apprentice until the apprentice is coming up and leading up to the point where he has made it. He has initiated. He is now
one of the masters.
He's now the torch has been passed. He is now the considered the master. Guess what happens next? The next upcoming generation, he shows them, and that's the process of it. And that would happen if you were getting a trade, like, if you've been a joiner or an electrician or a brickie or a plumber, you would go and work with someone who is really, really, really good at it and has done it for years. And then you would come in wet behind the ears, and then you would, surely, something that's simple to them, you think it's the end of the world. They show you it's actually easy, and then you go, right, okay, it's not as big as I thought. Yeah, it's just like that. And you go, okay. And then you do that enough times, you pick up all these skills, now you can deploy them. And that's what life's like. And we can do it in many ways. We can work with someone, we can do it in books, you can listen to podcasts, you can do many, many, many different ways that you can absorb the knowledge.
Yep.
And you've just got to be in that environment where we can do it. And there's no better environment than working one-to-one with someone, because you're working one-to-one with people now.
Yep.
And that shift is shown, like, you've seen the power of working one-to-one with someone where, like, I'm being extremely hard on you. Not for the sake of like being a hard taskmaster or, you know,
prick.
Being a prick. I'm being hard on you because like you have this, you want it to be easy and you want to be given leeway and you want to be allowed like some slack to be cut and you want me to understand it from your point of view. And I'm like, no. Like if you want to be a stone cold killer in the world of business, there's no treat me softly. Like, please be nice. No, there's sharks out there. They're going to rip your face off.
Yeah,
like they're going to tear the face off you.
Yeah.
So you need to be hardcore.
Yeah,
and it's you need to be hardcore in terms of who you're dealing with. You need to be hardcore in terms of your approach. You need to be hardcore in terms of your mentality. You need to be hardcore in terms of how you physically look after yourself. You need to be hardcore in terms of your resilience. So building this strong sense of discipline. And discipline is different from motivation because motivation fleets. It's when you feel good, it's easy to feel motivated.
Yeah.
But the difference with discipline is that discipline means that it doesn't matter how you feel, you're going to do it. So even if you feel terrible, you're still going to get it done. That's discipline. And discipline is done or achieved by constantly not giving yourself the leeway, constantly not giving yourself the slack, constantly checking like, no, get it done. No, you're not getting any leeway. No, you're not getting cut any slack. You get it done.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that constant shutting the door in your face where you end up becoming more resilient, tougher. You don't slack. And that then shapes a better and more improved version of you. And sometimes you need that one-to-one interaction. Well,
the one-to-one work that I've been doing with clients recently, like the reason why I've fucking started to kind of change the offer and change the pricing. Obviously, it's costing more money for people to work really one-to-one with me now. But the process that you've taken me through, I'm overwhelmed. I'm in this like complex labyrinth, this maze that I feel like there's no solutions to it. There's always a simple solution to that problem that I'm facing. And every time I work with a client now one-to-one, they come to me with this problem. So a boy came to me the other day and he wants to go like online, or he wants to have more freedom, right? But he feels like he's stuck in this one-to-one coaching role. And I gave him a simple solution, just a suggestion, right? And I said, could you though, if you think of it, he said he just wants to take a week out, just a week to go somewhere. And I said, could you put your sessions at the start of the month and the end of the month, and then you've maybe got a week in between that you could go on holiday because you could still operate from your laptop and these kind of things. It's like, I've never really thought about that. That day told me, I've changed 5 people to start of the month, end of the month. I'm going to book a wee weekend away next month just because I can. Yeah. But he couldn't see that simple solution to this big complex black and white, like this or that problem that he had. Do you know what I mean? So
that's where the expression, another powerful set of eyes, like, you know, you would get somebody to double check. The good thing when you...
I couldn't do that though before working with you and doing this thing. Like I couldn't...
What do you think's changed?
It's just the awareness around that there's always a simple solution. Like I always come to you overwhelmed with fucking bullshit. And then you're like, right, take a deep breath. What actually is it? And then I say something, you're like, well, there we go. You never give me the answer. It's like, that's not where, if anyone's listening, well, everyone's listening. Mentorship isn't about, or coaching isn't about given the answers. You already have all the answers. You've got every single answer you need to every single problem you're going to ever encounter. But you never find those answers unless you're asked the right questions, and that's where the power comes in.
Well, it's like that whole thing. I'm asking you questions until the only thing that you've got left is the answer. And
one answer.
I want you to see it.
Yeah.
I want you to go, oh, it's that. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I could have told you 5 questions ago. But it isn't as powerful as you going, oh, it's this. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah.
You just nod as well. You don't even say yeah. That's good. That is a really good, and that's what I'm saying with the process that I now take clients through like that. I always questioned them. I always got down to a deeper level of understanding and allowing them to find it, right? But because I actually came to you thinking Gio's going to give me all the answers, and I was actually quite surprised when you didn't give me answers, you just allowed me to find them.
Yeah.
I then really understood the power of mentorship and coaching and how it actually works and how you actually benefit from having one. The mentor doesn't give you the answers; they allow you to find the answers. Yeah,
they're going to steer you for you to find the answers.
Yeah,
it's like they're going to put you on the field, right? And they're going to say, check up here, and you're going to move into the space. You're going to do all the moves, because the idea is that if I give you the answers, then I'm taking the work off you. By you doing the work, you're recognizing why you know what the answer is.
Yep.
Now you can find that answer all the time. And it's that continual process of you seeking the answer, being helped to find the answer, you find the answer, and then it happens again and again and again and again. Guess what you build? You build the muscle of figuring out what it is you need.
Yeah.
And this is the art of it. Because if you just do it's like if you, like if like an easy example would be, right, I'm a mentor, you're the mentee, you want me to give you all the answers, I'm going to do all the work. That's like me saying, listen, me and you're going to train in the gym, right? You want me to lift all your weights and like you expect that you're going to get the result.
Yeah.
Like who's going to get the result here, me or you? Like it's going to be me because you're not doing any of the work.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but in a different environment. But the principle's the same, is that it's important that I get you to do the work so you get the results. And those results are shifting your mind, finding the answer, seeking, allowing you to believe, hey, I can find the answer here. And what you're doing is you're using a sounding board. You're like, I'm looking for something. And you'll come to me and you'll be like, oh, you know, you're blowing it out of proportion to some degree, sometimes not too much, sometimes ridiculously so.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, look, let's take away the overwhelm and see what's going on. And then you end up finding the answer.
Yeah. There's times that I've genuinely been like, genuinely stressed. And like, you've just like allowed me to be stressed. But like, you had to. Like, you couldn't have been like, give me the answer like straight away to fix the stress. It's like, I do need to go through that. Well, maybe you didn't maybe sense that I was stressed, but like, you could probably tell that Kyle's flapping right now. Like he's getting no answers. He's fucking doesn't know what he's doing. He's waking up at a fucking visualization call and telling me that he can see himself with a team of coaches, but he can't really. So it's like you've seen all that happening, but where you would have maybe went wrong is if you were to try and save me in that sense, because you can't. Like it needs to be me finding that for myself. Yeah, which is
being a good mentor is like seeing you out in the water, and you're starting to panic, and I'm like, right, Kyle, kick your legs. And you're like, what? Just save me. And I'm like, kick your legs. You start kicking your legs, but move your arms. Right? You start to move. Now you go, oh, I don't need to panic. I'm like, yeah, keep going. Keep going. And you go, fucking hell, this is great. I can swim. Like, yeah, that's what it's like.
Literally, that's what it's like.
And that's the perfect analogy of us going, right, look, you don't need panic. You can do something here. What do you need to do? And then it's like going out in the environment. Do you remember it was similar like the water? What do you think you do here? And you're like, I kick my legs, don't I? I'm like, yes. And every time you do, you build the muscle, you build the response, you build the pattern. Yeah. And that's what makes you, that's why you've had such a rapid change so quickly. Yeah. How have you found so another thing that we're doing with the mentorship is we're doing the visualization, which is the part of the VDS. So for everyone that doesn't know what the VDS, and they should do by now, but for those that don't, the new listeners, how would you describe it?
How would I describe the VDS or the visualization? VDS.
VDS.
Well, how I describe it to clients, because I generally take that, I've stole it and I'm doing it.
Totally plagiarised it.
Fully plagiarised it. Pretty sure I said to you
fucking thief.
But there's no better way to do it though. And I generally think that there's a framework that you've came together with after like 2 decades of being in this fucking game, like really seriously. Not like 17 maybe you started to read books, but since you've been 20, you've been in the fucking game and this shit. So it would make no sense for me to go and try and remake that, like reinvent the wheel. It's like this VDS thing, it's a framework, very simple, looks like it doesn't really do much, right? But the process of it is so fucking powerful. So how I break it down to clients now is, right now you don't really know that you've got uncertainty, right? Because you don't necessarily know exactly where you want to go. You've got a good idea, you've got a couple of goals set out, but the difference between goals and a vision is something you can step into and experience. A goal is something you can tick off, right? So a vision is unlimited, a goal is very limited. So the vision is something that you can approach with a magic wand, like we speak about, and then people start to actually realize what they really want. So they get this unlimited vision, they get this ideal life that they can start to work towards. That gives us the North Star that you work towards. So that gives us this overall direction that we can then start to reverse engineer back to where you are now, and then start getting direction. So a client came to me the other week and he was like, I want to start doing coaching, PT. I think I want to do one-to-one PT, right? And I said, well, what's your vision? Like, do you want to be locationally free, financially free? Do you want to travel the world? Well, yeah, I do. And I said, well, if you want to be locationally free and financially free, that gives me a strong inclination that one-to-one coaching you want to do now is a means to an end. It's not something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, because at some point you want locational freedom. You can't do that if you're one-to-one stuck in a gym, right? So the vision gives us this overall North Star, this direction that we can refer to as they're doing things now to make sense of the actions that are taken and make sure it's actually aligned with the thing they want to do in the future. So that vision, the VDS, so the vision, obviously VDS, like vision, direction, start. The vision is what I just described there. And again, that's the clearest mental picture possible that you can actually put together of the life that you want, not just goals, like the actual life, how it looks, the car you're driving, the house you live in, the people you're around, the people you're helping, how much money you're making, every single detail of your life. That's what the vision is. The direction is given when we reverse engineer that big vision they've got to now, and then we start to I think the way I've been doing it is we get the big vision, right? That gives us the North Star, which will change. Like we know that's going to change. It's very flexible.
You know better than anyone.
It's fucking today it's changed. But the direction comes when we think, cool, that's the big thing, right? So what about a year from now? What does that look like? And then again, same scenario. If everything went perfectly for a year, what would that look like? And then we go from the 12 months to 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and then 30 days. And like, what does the next 30 days look like? And then you start to outline the metrics that need ticked off and the actions that need to be taken to achieve that 30-day vision and put yourself in that life that you can see yourself living in 30 days. As you go through this process, as I know by now, shit changes dramatically, right? You're going to hit goals that you didn't think you could hit. You're going to set a 12-month goal and it's going to get achieved in 1 month or 2 months. It's going to, like, that is I was saying to a client the other day, things are going to change dramatically, but most of the time for the good thing, the good side of it. Like usually things will happen quicker than you can ever expect, and that is the dramatic change that will happen.
Did that catch you off guard? I warned you at the start, but did it catch you off guard when I remember what I said to you? Says the thing that is going to really surprise you is not if it works, because it will work. It's how dramatically quickly it works.
Well, that's why I fucked the second half of January. So it came that quick. I was like, surely I'm not making 20k this month. Yeah. And I fucked the 20k target because of that. That was genuinely the thing that went in my brain. It was like, I wasn't ready for how quick that was coming.
Yeah.
And we done the numbers. I could have hit over 50 grand in January.
We're going to come on to it.
Yeah. Sorry to blow the numbers, but like I genuinely could have done a madness, right? And obviously the model that we're working with has changed a little bit now, so I'm not necessarily going for those huge targets right now, which has been quite a recent change in the approach. But honestly, how quickly that thing happens, once you get the vision clear, once you get the direction, your mind is then completely conditioned and trained to see opportunities to move towards that vision. And that's why before in the podcast we spoke about how I was limiting myself to £500 for 3 months, I then, like, the simple solution is charge for 6 months or introduce this thing and charge a little bit more, and then you can hit that target so much easier. And it's such a simple solution that I couldn't see at that point, but it was only clear once I got the vision clear, I got the direction clear, so we got the metrics together, the 30-day vision, the things I had to focus on, which is now dramatically changed, as I said, which is fine. You need to adapt. And one thing that you said this morning was you need to be versatile. You need to be able to like adapt and shift as things change. And you can't marry yourself or like attack or glue yourself to expectations, because if you do, you end up.
It's like when you were a kid. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Professional footballer.
Right, and then now that you're not, did you just fucking just sort of sit there and like, woe is me, and I'm not a pro footballer, so life's over? No. Exactly. What do? You go, what's next? Exactly. So you adapt and you adjust. You need to be more like a chameleon, where you adapt to your surroundings. Really, okay, what's going on? How do I adapt? How do I adjust? Yeah. How do I find what I need from here? How do I keep going towards what it is that I want?
So that was a VDS. So that was a VD, like the vision direction that I explained. Was that a decent explanation?
Yep.
And then
so
obviously
the VDS, you build a vision of what your ultimate life would be. Like if you could have it, use your imagination, create it. Right, you can go off the chain. It doesn't need to be realistic. I mean, we go into detail why it shouldn't be realistic. Yep. Your vision should never, ever, ever, I repeat, ever be realistic. Right, realistic's a naughty word. We don't use realistic around these parts. And then once you've got that, that helps you form a direction, because the vision tells you what you want, which then points you the direction you should take. Yep. And then once you've got the direction, you start to work back, because any goal isn't made in one huge leap. You don't go from here today to this huge vision tomorrow. What it is you have small steps that you take, but like you're running a marathon. Marathon's not ran in one leap. It's ran of many, 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 many steps. So the direction gives you the steps, and then what you need to do, and it is the most important of them all, is start. Yep. Because unless you start, you will never know. And that's what we touched on before we came on air, is that even when you start, and you start with something that you think you want, you might change because you realise that you don't want that. And then you need to be nimble enough to adapt, to ask the right questions to what do you want. And then that's why you alluded to the visional change, because it's not about getting it right first time, because very rarely people do. You know, very, very rarely will people get their vision right the first time, but they're using it as a North Star to draw them towards asking the right questions and beginning that journey. When you get there in that journey, you might take a wrong turn. Guess what you do? Adapt and adjust. Because you started, here's the powerful thing. You now know what you don't want because you've tried it and you go, wait the now, not really sure about this. And then you adjust. That's the power of it. That's why VDS. And there's more elaborate versions of like that framework, but it's keep it short, keep it sweet. You don't need to make it any more complicated. Keep it simple.
Yeah, you don't. It's like the VDS is on the surface, because I think that's what people do though. They look for details, they look for like depth and like, but is there not more parts to it than just a vision, a direction, then you start? And that's again
you do these 3 things, you're going to change your life.
Yeah, fully.
Like, nah.
So I've even been doubting that as well a little bit, is like the kind of higher ticket coaching that I've got a couple of guys on now. The main thing we're doing is VDS, right? And it's like, because I've never done it before, right? Like I've done it myself, but never with a client. It's almost like I'm saying to them to have faith in it, because this is the framework that my mentor's taken me through, and they know who you are. Like everyone that is coming to me, I'll point them towards you. You've done the call for my clients on a weekly call, so I can point them towards those things and they'll be like, right, cool. If he's fucking telling Kyle to do it, and Kyle's then telling me to do it, I know Kyle's a good cunt, and I know that he is switched on and knows what he's doing.
Is that the technical definition?
Good cunt.
Yeah.
I know that Gio is like he's a master of the game. So if they're both doing it, and this is what Kyle's trying to get me to do, or is implement with me, then it definitely works. So, but it's funny how my brain is even doing that. It's like, surely this
even if you want to back engineer it, you go and take any one of them, and backtrack how they became great and work your way back. Every one of them followed the same pattern.
Literally, vision.
Right. They had a vision, they had a dream, they dared to dream big. You know, take Ronaldo. Nobody played more than him. He was in the streets, his mum working, you know, endless jobs, taking him to coaching, taking him to games, taking him to training, train harder, get fitter, get stronger. He had this dream, a vision. So he had the direction led him to train, push harder, go longer, build the resistance. No negotiations on taking the day off or, you know, hedonistic. You know, no, I've got a dream. And then what? He started game after game, training after training, ball after ball, pass after pass. It's all little steps.
Yep.
And then people go, he's just a natural talent. No, he had talent he had to nurture, and he nurtured it and nurtured it and nurtured it and nurtured it. See, when nobody knew him, nobody cared. See, when he was out in the pitch alone, nobody cared. See, when he was practicing after training, nobody cared. Right, but one day, they cared.
Became the goal.
But it was thousands and thousands and thousands of hours before it where nobody cared. But he did. And maybe his mum.
Yeah, maybe his mum cared.
So I was thinking about all the people I've interacted with over the years.
Aye.
And like this pattern happens with them all. And I was thinking to myself, all the people that are stuck have lacked one or all 3 of them, like 1, 2, or 3. They've not started, they don't have a vision, they have no direction. You don't have a vision, you don't have a direction. Then how can you start? All the great people I've spoke to have always had a vision, which then dictates the direction, and they can't wait to start. See, when you ask them about vision, they'll tell you in detail. Their eyes will light up. They'll become animated, and they'll be like, yeah, and it's like this, and it's like this, and it's like this. And you go, oh, you're making it. You're definitely making it. You're 100%. It's impossible. But it's like what we do in the visualization calls, which is sort of deep trance hypnosis, where we're wiring the neural connections in your brain, like really going into the neural pathway part of how we operate. And it's like, you're wired for success now. It's impossible for you to fail. In fact, no matter how hard you try, you can't fail.
Yeah.
Because it's like a train track, right? And this train goes from here to success. And no matter how much you try, this train is going that way because it's on rails.
Yeah.
You can't, unless you derail your train, that's where it goes.
Yeah, fully.
And that's in your brain.
Aye.
So everybody that has the core of it all is that, simply put, if you want to improve, do these 3 things. That's it. Everybody that's been amazing at anything that's had these three things.
Yeah.
And if you can build them yourself, you're going to have a great life. If you're struggling, get somebody to help you.
We'll see. For that, I've been working with people recently, and the focus is obviously on the kind of higher ticket and focus on the vision. It genuinely stresses me out when people don't have a clear vision, because like I've seen what happened to me: procrastination, overwhelm, 101 ideas, don't know how to start. I just showed you a client just messaged me there, literally saying, "Bro, I've got a problem. I don't know how to start." Right? It's like we've just fucking spoke about that for an hour or half an hour, however long it's been, and that's the problem that everyone has. But the reason why you don't know how to start is because you've got no direction, and you've got no direction because you've got no clear vision. Without a clear vision, like we just said, you don't know where to go. Like
when I get a voice note in from you, like I think I'll show you what it's like when I have my phone, and it's like, you know, the voice note comes in, Kyle. Yeah, bro, I know everything you've told me, and it's just that, you know, I'm really struggling to start, and I've got the vision dialed in, and I know the direction, but I just can't start. And I'm really listening to the voice note, and I just like, for fuck's sake, fucking hell.
Jack always says that. Jack's like, Gio's just been on a call getting like 360 million funding, and then we come on like wee fannies like that. Here, mate, like I just don't know what to do. And it's like, see the way that sometimes you will just laugh at us. You just react to a laughing face and not even give us a fucking response. Jack's like, that's just because he just knows that fucking we're being silly, innit? Like, just like
for fuck's sake, boys.
Literally. But I think there's an element of it as well, though, where I'll do the same with clients. Is like, you've got a belief in us. Like, you've got faith in like us being successful, or else you wouldn't give us a fucking minute of your day.
I can see it. I can see it clear as day. I'm like, right, you've got it.
Yeah.
The only way that you don't get it is if you don't use it. That's it.
Literally.
You've got it. You have got what it takes.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine there's like an X factor, a buzz, something that people have, and you go, you've got it, man. The only way you don't get it is if you don't use it.
Yep. Fully, man.
And then you're sitting getting that's where the expression you're getting in your own way. You have it and you're not using it.
It's the same with anyone. Yeah.
That's the feeling, Kyle. See the people that are so annoyed with life. If you could articulate the feeling is they know that they've got more and are not using it, and it kills them. They're like, fuck.
So much frustration.
Fuck.
Yeah.
They're like, why am I in my own way? Fuck. Surely it can't be like this. And that's when the pity party and the, you know, I'm a victim and you cut me some slack and, oh, you know, I was raised by my mum. Fuck off.
Well, that's what you get to.
Fuck.
That's what you get to. But like everyone watching this podcast, watching my content, it's all guys like the same, what we're talking about. It's all guys knowing that they can do it, but they just don't fucking do it. And they know, I've got the potential to do this thing. I see that person doing it, and I know he's doing it. I know he's not any better than me, but I'm just not fucking doing it. And again, what is the main reason for that? They've not got a vision.
It's the same
They've
thing.
not got the direction.
But the other time is like the echoes of the past rise up. So the old habits, old wiring. We went into a long discussion yesterday about the potency of removing bad wiring. And there's a powerful way to do it. And there's a way that's so long-winded and has so little efficacy over a short time that it seems like it would have a benefit, but it doesn't.
Yep.
And this is the potency of really getting into the power of the mind. You know, using things like hypnosis, NLP, some of these techniques can do some real flash updates. Like you plug it in, boom, that thing's up. You're like, wow. It's that massive shift rapidly that can startle people because will it work? You go, well, try and remember what it was like before. Like you try and remember what you were like. I don't remember it.
No, I actually can't.
Yeah.
Like I actually really struggled. Like I can remember maybe thinking back to when I was like proper anxiety, like being sick and all these kind of things that I had when I was like 17, 18. But I'm really finding it hard to think back to 3 months ago, how it felt to not really know where the fuck you're going.
Do you know why that is?
Just because you've completely rewired it. It's like I've actually had the shift from the identity shift, but also the shift in my paradigm that I don't have the same beliefs as I had before.
You had triggers that set off these emotions. I disconnected your triggers so that they wouldn't fire those emotions and then replaced those triggers for you to find a positive result. Now that's why you go, no matter how much you give me that trigger, I can't fire it. It's like it's unplugged. And you go, You know, it's like you have your car keys. You know the car keys are in there somewhere. Can you find them? You hunt everywhere. You're like, I don't know where they are. And that's like your trigger now. You just don't know where. You know something, and logically you're like, yeah, I know it's there, but it just won't fire.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. That's why you're like, I don't know. Because you've been that hardwired now, repeatedly, morning after morning, morning after morning, visualization calls, you're getting up early, you're pushing yourself. You know, some mornings it's difficult, some mornings you're up for it. You know, you tell people what it's been like with your journey on the visualization calls.
Well, the very first call, and this is, again, I can remember what I was like this. As Jack came through to me, was like, this was like 11:30. To my defense, like the way I used to operate, I couldn't do this, right? I couldn't get any less than 7 hours sleep. Like I generally couldn't. Like it was a non-negotiable. I couldn't, right? And I'd love to say that I'm like that now, but I've been absolutely fucked into a different place where if I don't get up at that time, I'm getting fined £200. I don't want to get fined that, and I'm committed to it now. I mean, I could easily just say fuck the calls, I don't want to do them, but I've made the decision that I'm obviously committed, and I think it's definitely something that I couldn't used to do. So when we done the first call, Jack was like, "Oh, I call with you in the morning." To my defense, I didn't even know what the call was, right? I didn't even know what the fuck we were gonna do. But I was like, "Nah, I'm not getting any less than 7 hours sleep. Fuck that." I just slept in. And you're like, "Well, if you want to start doing these calls now, then you're paying double, right?" And then obviously I had to pay the double. And since then, I genuinely haven't missed a call. The other morning, my alarm, whatever happened, I was like 3 minutes late to the call. But the since that though, the positive reinforcement is, I genuinely have woke up every single morning, even if I didn't want to, and I was on the call, like every single morning. And it would, like, at the start, it was like, 7 hours sleep, whatever. And then I got into the headspace of, regardless of how much sleep I get, I'm getting up for the call. And it was like, the resilience has been actually, although we have been called gay really like, a lot, right? The shift in being able to do that compared to what I used to be able to do is night and day. Like I completely shifted.
Like what's changed? What's shifted for you?
It's feeding the voice. As soon as you get up, it's like feeding that voice to go back to sleep. It's like that just doesn't really have any, the volume is so low on it now. And it's obviously the old patterns I used to have of, just go back to bed. Like I used to be so bad when I used to go to college, smoke all the time. I would wake up and smoke. And I'd fucking probably go back to sleep or just sleep until like 1 p.m. And it was like that voice, it was like, it's comfy, just stay in bed. Like that kind of feeling I always got. Almost over the last few months, 4 months, right? I've not been firing that. So it's got weaker. It's like your muscle, when you don't use it, it gets atrophy, it like dies, it becomes weaker. And I've got this new voice in my head saying, well, obviously you're getting up. And it's like, obviously you're going to be on that call at 6 a.m. and obviously you're going to do that thing. And then there's another voice saying, if you don't, Gio's going to call you gay and slate you, and I don't want that. So that's another piece of accountability. This class is really good.
And the thing being is, it's like that hard, it's that non-negotiable where you go, I don't want to do this, but it's instilling discipline. It doesn't matter what you feel like doing, you're going to get it done. And that, building that into your mind, it doesn't matter what you tell me, that inner voice. It doesn't matter what that inner voice tells me. I will get this done. And that's what I mean, is like when you go on your vision, your direction, you start and you begin, you get rolling, then there's going to be times you don't want to do it. Guess what you need to have? Guess what your default mode should be? You go and do it.
Yeah.
No matter how tired, how unmotivated, how comfortable you want to get. No, get it done. Get it done. Earn your reward. You'll feel amazing after it. Yeah,
that's something that's really shifted as well. So it's funny because we're coming up to this this podcast that we're doing right now. For the last few weeks, I've been genuinely, say a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, right? But like since the fog happened again, like I felt really good. I was like, I'm building a team of coaches, feel amazing, right? 20K a month. And then I went into a place of like, do I even want that? Like really foggy headspace. And I've been thinking, fuck it, I'm just going to book a holiday. I don't care what Gio says, I'm just going to book a fucking holiday. And that's genuinely my voice in my head, right? Also, I'm not FedEx, not booked a holiday yet. But there's a voice in my head that's like, but I want to reinforce to anyone listening, right? Life, you call it life. I know you don't really like this lofty shit, right? But life will
let it get off your chest, man.
I know, fucking. I need to release this shit. I need to give it to people.
Let it rip.
But as soon as you're on the brink of really shifting and seeing big results in your life is going to throw you resistance, like wherever it comes from, whether it is like as an event that happens or if it's like a thought in your head, whatever it is. But you're going to be thrown resistance in some way, right? So in the last couple of weeks, I've been like, we spoke at the start of this podcast, I've been taking action to find out what I really want, and I've been uncertain about it, and it's been making me feel a little bit more like, fuck this, I want a holiday. Fuck this shit, I just want to fuck off somewhere. And it's been giving me that level of resistance, right? I've not fed into that. Like, I've not booked a holiday. I've not gave up. I've showed up to the calls. Like, last night, if we didn't have that call, I was close to being like, fuck the calls, I'm never doing them again, right? But
what changed your mind? What changed your mind?
I just knew that would, that decision that I was making was ego-based, and I knew that would shape my reality going forward if I was to say that. Because I know that I want to do the calls. It's just last couple of weeks, my calls have been shit because I've been in bed too late, and I'm basing it off that. But if I go back to the first calls that we had that really shifted my mind, that's amazing. It's so good. And it's like, I will get that same effect if I'm in the right state when I'm doing the calls. And it's nothing to do, that's what I said last night to you, it's like, it's nothing to do with the calls. It's just the space I was getting into in my mind. It was like, I was so close to being like, fuck the calls, I'm just going to do my own thing, which isn't the right thing to do. It's just genuinely fucking not. Like, you can't say that doing that on my own is more valuable than being on a call with you every morning. It's just not. It's not a fucking thing.
But even the things like on the calls, you're seeing different experiences for different guys and different paths. And this is a beauty, like why it's great to be around someone, like a group like that, is that you don't need to go through the hardship to spot the wisdom that they gain from going through the hardship, because you're there witnessing it.
That's a good way to look at
like,
it as well.
The boys are there and they're like, I've tried this, I did this, you know, my supplier let me down. And it's like, it's all these, right, if this, then do this. And you're picking up the wisdom, it's soaking into your mind, and something's going to come up. Something's going to come up. You've not experienced it, but you've watched someone experience it and you go, I fucking know what to do here. I know exactly, I've seen this.
And to finish the point there about the resistance I've been feeling, I could have gave into that. I could have said, fuck the call. I could have booked a holiday. Like, I've genuinely, like yesterday sitting in David Lloyd's doing work, I voiced my head like, just look at holidays to Greece. Like, you could just book it today. Like, I genuinely, but I didn't open the tab. I didn't do it because I knew that it was obviously that side of me that doing it, right? But I went through that resistance in the last few weeks. It's not been that good, right? I had a good month in January. After January we reviewed it, we just said it was shite. I've not really felt good since we've done that. Like, I just haven't felt really on the ball again. The calls haven't been good in the morning, and it's just been a lot of resistance. But I know that has happened to test me. I've came through the other side of it. Today I had that realization.
But here's the beauty is that you've had the January. We'll come on to January next and we'll cover that. But January, you had a situation which was great. It was your best ever month. And then we reviewed it, and then we realised how fucking dramatically you had missed target. Which was a cool and an interesting story. So we'll finish off with that. But like, what's happened is you've had a strong January, best ever result, and then you've had a lull, and then you've been going through the lull and pushing into the resistance to the point where you're going, why am I doing this? And then, boom, just at the point where you think, I could just stop here. You've had ultimate clarity, and it's been in that environment where you're pushing. Life's testing you. It's going, you're going to quit? You're going to back off?
Literally.
And then you keep going, and you could have backed off, and you were like, you're like, nah, I'm putting it down. Literally. And then the next day, wham, and it comes.
No, literally. So this is what I'm saying. It's like, see that realization I've had today, that wouldn't have happened if I gave up. Like, it wouldn't have happened if I did. And like, see with what's it called? There's a part of your brain, is it the prefrontal cortex? Is it like the part of your brain that it gets stronger when you do things you don't want to? It's like, to be fair, me and Jack, we done like pro youth football and stuff when we were younger. Like the circuit training and all that shit was fucking horrendous. Like the pre-season, I remember one year we were doing it and it was like 23 degrees outside, and you would just run round and you didn't. I was wearing goalkeeping fucking trousers and I was sweating. It was horrible. I was trained to just push through it. And that's the same thing recently. And I know that when I want to give up is when I shouldn't. And I genuinely I've built that inside me. But the thing that would really help someone that doesn't have that as built up is the one-to-one accountability and support. It's the mentorship. Do you know what I mean? Like, me and Jack have always been trained to like do things we don't want to. Although we've came to you and you're generally like, you're either gay or retarded, right? And it's like it's like one or the other. You might have Down syndrome, or like that's Down's coming out in you, right? Whatever it is, or gayness. But the part of us that won't give up, and we are quite stubborn and resilient, that is obviously what's allowed me to not give up in the last few weeks.
How do you feel about the 90s style accountability? Because that was like, see, going through school in the 90s, that's all you heard.
Part of me doesn't like it, but we're not. Me and Jack aren't trained to like it though. Me and Jack are trained to be defensive and offensive with that stuff, and that you see that more from Jack than me, because.
And do you find yourself building resistance to it? Like how much you didn't like at the start, it's lessening over time, where you're actually finding a bit more of a comedy value.
No, I do,
Yeah.
but I definitely do. But there's also a part of me that comes in and goes, like, I done really well in January, and the conversation we had made me feel like I didn't. And I was almost like, was that productive? Like, was that a good thing that I get made feel shit for actually hitting a really good target? And like, I understand it. And it was like, well, you've got a lot more to give. You've actually fucked it. Like, in reality, you could give a lot more. And I do take that part of it. But to be honest, there is actually a part of my brain that takes it slightly more negative. And that's maybe something we need to dig into, because I don't want to take it in any kind of negative sense. But I do, the conscious part of me goes, keep calling me a fucking gay, but like, keep calling me that shit. I love it. But there is definitely a deep rooted part of me that's like, doesn't respond very well to it all the time. But that's when obviously it's like it's just the victim shit. Generally, it's the victim shit that comes out. But the hypnosis I was talking to you about doing, that's what I want to get rid of, because it's not, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have any part of that in me. But I've grew up, love my mum so much, genuinely would die for her, but grew up with a professional victim. Like, we've been genuinely trained, and my dad, professional victim. He's not going to watch this, obviously, right? But he's a professional victim. It's like we've been really, really trained to anything like that comes in. Don't even look at the intention. Just take what they've said as a bad thing and just react to it and just be. But I know every time Jack is more responsive and reactive to it than I am, as you know, because he's got more of an ego than I do. But I look at your intention every time and I love it. I genuinely think, I know why you're doing it. You're very valuable. You've got a lot of things to do. That you're making all this money. You're doing all these big deals, and you give me your one-to-one time. So I know the intention is pure. I know it's positive. I know it's meant to help me. So I do look past it. But to be honest, there's a part of my brain that doesn't respond well to it, but I know that is.
I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you what you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't like it.
Fully.
You know, and that's the thing is like, it's that part of, see, the victim in you, I'm going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until that goes away.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like it, but it's going to die. It will die. Because you're going to go, you see this environment?
Maybe a point.
You don't belong here.
Yeah.
Right, but it's going to kick and scream and squeal and scratch and holler and whine and bitch and piss and moan, all the way until it goes away. And you're going to go, oh yeah, I don't need it.
Yeah,
that's the difference between what you want and what you need.
Do you feel like, so just a kind of little side question, not to drag this on a little bit more, but the part of me like that, to get rid of that, say people watching this have that side to them, they need the deep state work. They need the hypnosis.
There's many roads to the same place. So you can do lots of different variations of work.
But the quickest and most effective is
the most powerful is deep state hypnosis.
Okay.
Because it's the quickest way to rewire the pattern. So the way to think about it is the only two things that you're wired to have fear over when you come into this world is sudden loud noises and the fear of falling. Everything else you've programmed. Everything. Yep. Fears, doubts, anxieties, patterns, behavior patterns, responses, emotional responses are all learned behaviors, and they were learned by you. And if you have a pattern that's in the way or causing you a negative consequence, then you can rewire that. Most times people try to deal with the symptom and not the problem. So, for instance, they'll try to deal with the anxiety, and usually it's escapism. I feel anxious, so let me escape, or let me do something, or let me do this, or let me do that, or let me take a drink, or let me take the edge off it with a joint, or whatever it is. So they'll escape the feeling. But the feeling's a symptom. The problem is why the pattern that caused it to trigger off. And you can do that over many, many different ways. Talk therapy, writing it down, journaling. The first hurdle you need to come to is that you need to know if you're dealing with a problem or a symptom. And the second thing is that you need to know how quickly you want to change it. And one of the quickest and most impactful ways to change it is to rewire the pattern. And the best place to do it is hypnosis.
Yep.
Like that's the quickest, most powerful route to do it, because you can go in, surgical precision, locate the problem, identify the pattern, rewire it, and then come out and you go, there you go.
Yeah.
But some people don't like the idea of like, oh, I'm in control and all that sort of stuff. You're in complete control. You're completely lucid. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
But we're just putting you in a state that you can go in and actively rewire it.
Sick.
So if you've got a pattern like that, you can go in and rewire it. Or you can be called gay repeatedly until your victimhood squeezes out you. Like the jam out of a donut.
Yeah, because I feel like the way that I do work with clients as well, I don't do the hypnosis, but there's huge shifts, like complete, like they're not the same person again after one conversation.
Yeah.
How would you describe that? How does that happen?
You're influencing people. So like hypnosis is essentially like very deep and intense influence, so much so that someone follows what you're explaining to them, rewires their mind. So there's milder versions of that you're using, sort of language patterns. NLP would be the next place. NLP is a more covert way of changing someone's thought process. Lots of analogies, lots of truisms. That language pattern can be essentially what you're doing is you're recognizing what the problem is. So you're agreeing with someone, saying, I understand what your problem is. And sometimes it can look like this. And then you build a rapport with them where they go, they get me, they understand me.
Yep.
And then what he says, it seems like this, and you've maybe never considered that you can do it a different way. And if you looked at it this way, think, how would that look? How would that change your point of view? How would that change your perspective? And you can help shift their perspective that they maybe haven't considered. And then doing that over a few times or getting them to do that themselves can help shift their perspective, that they are looking at it from a different point of view. And there's variations of that and, different techniques in terms of how you can rewire it in their mind. But that, and overall, is essentially you're influencing someone to take a different perspective that helps them look at things differently. Which
completely can reshape who they are.
Yeah. I mean, there's degrees of effectiveness, again, dependent on the type of person. So you'll have people that, prefer that and will work really well with it. You'll have people who much prefer hypnosis so that they can go into that perfect state.
Yep.
And you'll have people like, no, I don't really like that, prefer the other way, which is the language patterns. And like it's horses for courses.
They both work.
You go with which one is right. It's like a set of tools. Yep. And you go with which one is the right tool for the right person at the right time.
Yep.
For the right result.
So I've noticed that the work that I do is good, really good. Yep. And like, it's obviously speaking the calls, and it really does shift some clients really dramatically. But I can tell that some clients need the hypnosis.
Yeah.
So that's where like adding that tool is definitely needed. It's definitely
hypnosis is a great tool, great and powerful tool. And what you're doing is in hypnosis, you're allowing people to get in the right state, and then you're allowing them to follow the right instructions so that they can go in and do the work rapidly in the same way that they programmed that pattern of behavior, and they can go in rapidly and reprogram that behavior and feel really good about the result. And they're in complete and total control. You're just guiding them there.
Yep.
And that's the thing, that's the misconception about hypnosis. This hypnosis is just putting complete attention on one particular thing to put someone into state to help them, guide them to reprogram a negative behavior to get a positive outcome.
Yep.
You change it, and that's the way to do it. So coming on to January, this is an interesting one because you had your best month ever in January. Did you not?
Well, yeah. Well, last year I was 1-to-1.
Yep.
I actually started 2024 with one online client. Fast forward to this year, over 30 online clients, but like fully online. Yep. So like I was no one-to-ones at all. So the start of 2024, I had...
When you say one-to-one, you mean in person?
Yeah, in person, yeah. So like one-to-one in person, because obviously it's all one-to-one.
Yeah.
But I had in-person clients, like 99% of my clients were in person. So I was tied to the gym. I was in the gym doing one-to-ones. And then November, I officially went fully online, right? Obviously, little drop in clients, had to like kind of shift it. And then January there, compared to last January, 150% increase based on like the 5K ish that I had in January. But it was fully online this year. So it was like, I could have been anywhere in the world making that money, which is like powerful as fuck. Like the dream that I had, the vision that I had was I can make the same amount of money that I'm doing one-to-one, but fully online, so I can just be on my laptop anywhere in the world. So essentially January, that is like the life that I now have.
So how did you feel having the most incredible month?
It felt amazing. Like during it felt really, really good. I still knew, and I always do, and everyone always does, I reckon. I don't think do you ever get to a point where you're giving 100% all the time? Do you think?
It's a bit like the carrot on the stick. You get, like, there's times where it's like driving your car and hitting the rev limiter. You very rarely get right up to the rev limiter.
Yeah, so there's always a wee bit more that you can do.
But you're constantly tuning your engine so you can get more out of the same engine for the same revs by constantly refining it. And that's the growth part. That's the thing that light gives you the juice of life is that you're like, oh, I'm getting better at this.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is that, so January you had the best ever result. You did the most amazing result. It was actually a very interesting month from my perspective because I was seeing huge fluctuations in your effort and consistency. So it was like you were either really on it or you were not that on it, but you were really hyped up because you were getting a great result and it was working. And this was like, you'd started the mentoring, then we'd got through the VDS, and this was your first month really getting into it. And what I said would happen, was happening. Like, this thing is flying. Yeah. This is wild. I can't believe I'm a 5K a month guy.
Yeah.
He's like, and you were like 5K a month and 5K in a week.
Yeah.
I am absolutely flying.
Literally 5K in a week.
You done 5K in a week, and that was that. You done in a week what you done in a month, and you're like, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we'll keep it going. And then what happened?
I wouldn't say I fell off, but again, I looking back, I've only really had this realization today when we're talking. It did happen a lot quicker than I expected, like ridiculously quicker. And yeah, the shift in the offer, but then my brain started to use, because that concept of myself was still there. Like that concept of 20K a month, I can't make that. Like the belief was still in my paradigm. It's shifted now, like to this day, it's shifted, right? But I definitely still had a belief in my paradigm about myself that I couldn't make 20 grand a month. Like I genuinely had that belief. So when I got past the halfway mark within 10 days, like I was on a call with you on the 12th of January, and I was like, I've secured well over 10K, right? After that point, I didn't secure any more money. It's like actually so annoying to look back at, like in some ways, because it's like, if I kept pushing like that, like we spoke about, like I would have cleared 30, 40K. And I genuinely seen in that month, I was like, I can see how £1 million a year is doable now. Yeah. Because like you could, like, if I had done this on another level.
We had fucking broke the old you. See the glass ceiling?
Yeah.
We took the hammer to that.
It was, so when we first started locking in, I just asked you the question, like, how long would it take me to make $1 million? Right? In my bank, you're like, 12 months. Right? You can do it in a year. And I was like, fuck off. Like, I genuinely thought 6 years or something, right? It was like, but in January, the shift that I had, I was like, $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Why was I thinking that wasn't possible? That's fucking easy.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like just saying this to like be dramatic, but the shift that I had in January was $1 million a year is actually like, it'd be silly to think that couldn't be done. Where like with you, that initial conversation we had before we started the VDS, before we started the visualization, I was like, fucking, how the fuck would that ever happen? It was always a how.
Yeah.
But as I had that shift into, I could make 40 plus grand this month easily. Like it genuinely, probably should have happened if we speak about the things that I missed. That just, the shift was crazy.
So explaining about like what had happened was you had this fluctuation in your energy, your effort, your month was going red hot and then it was cooling off and you never secured any more money. And then you were like, yeah, I'm still pushing. And it wasn't really clear if you're pushing. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then the thing with mentoring is I do a review with you at the end of the month. So bear in mind off the back of this is a weird conundrum because you have had the most explosive month that you've ever had in your life. And then we're reviewing it. And the way that we start the month is we have metrics of what the best month would be, what you're going to do. And then we then measure at the end of the month to see if you hit or failed. So it's either yes or no, succeed or failed. There's no grey area. There's no like, oh, but cut me some slack. Give me that one. No, it is either yes or no. That's cut and dry.
Yeah.
So we had 17 metrics. How many of them did you hit? Do you remember?
It was like 5 or 6.
It was 5. 17 and you had hit 5. So you'd failed on 12 metrics.
Yeah.
So think about that. You had failed. Like people think failing in school is failing like you failed and that's you're done. Right? But it doesn't work like that. You can fail. You did fail. 7 out of 17 metrics, you'd failed 12 of them.
Yeah.
You still had the best month you'd ever had by 150%.
Yeah, mad.
Mind blown, right? Absolutely mind blown. But here's the thing is like I came to you and I'm like, do you even realise the month that you should have had? And this is not about like that. I can see how, you know, when you're like, oh, you're taking away my sunlight here, my juice for the month. And I'm like, no, here's the month that you should have had. And we back engineered the numbers and I says, here's the numbers, here's what you committed to doing, here's what you did when it was red hot. And if you'd done this, continued to do it for the full month, you should have hit 57K this month. And you were like, Oh, I was like, yeah. Now, the purpose of that is not to rain in your parade. The purpose of it is to show you what was possible. Because you'd said to me, how hard do I need to go to make £1 million? And I says, you could do it inside a year. Make the money, reinvest the money, leverage up, you can make £1 million in a year. So imagine month one is 57k and then project throughout the remaining months is that accumulation effect, and then you reinvest some of the money, you buy some investments that then takes your income and that takes your portfolio up. You do £1 million a year easy.
Oh, it's easy.
But you needed to go hard at it. And what you did in January was you went hard at it in bits and eased off.
Yeah.
And that was what I was wanting to show you. It was illustrated. It's like, right, you've made the best month you've ever had, but look how much more you could have got.
Yeah, fully.
You know, how did that feel?
Again, it's the focus was just on how the fact that I fucked it. To be honest, there's still no real, like, I don't even really feel like I had a good January. Like, although I know I did, it was like still feel like it's.
How do you feel that you fucked it if you'd done 150% of your best month ever?
No, so that's where I don't, if I focus on that aspect of it. But I think I don't know. I think it's because I know, and this is what I say to clients as well. Like, don't necessarily always focus on what you could do better. Like, genuinely give yourself a bit of credit for where you've came from, because obviously it's a good positive reinforcement.
And that is true. I mean, you've had the best month you've ever had. Like you
didn't say this to me.
You have massively, massively improved. Yeah. I did say it was you've had the best month ever and failed. Like that, isn't that blowing your mind? And you're like, but how could I fail? Like, we had 17 metrics, you failed 12 of them. Yeah. You failed more than half of your. In fact, 3/4 of your metrics you fucking failed. Like 2/3. Sorry to say, 2/3 of your metrics you fucked. Yeah, and still had the best month you've ever had. That's the power of what you're doing now. Yeah, that's the power of what you're doing. So you get to decide. You can go back to the wee guy, 5k a month, and you've got so much leeway. You've got 150% margin for error, or you can look at where you could have done better, and you can have it if you want it. Who do you want to be? Yeah. And it's that illustrated. It's that, you know, the Kabbalion. We're giving you the hot and the cold, the black and the white, the light and the dark. You know, we're patting you in the back and slapping you in the face.
Really. I think it's definitely, it can be healthy to have the focus where it is now, though. It can be healthy, like, to focus on what you could have done. Like, I definitely think that can be healthy. I don't think if you're...
I think it's all of it. And this is what it seemed like. It seems like you're putting so much emphasis on that you'd missed.
Yeah, 100%.
Without really giving yourself the credit that you'd had a massive hit relative to where you've been. Yeah. But you also had a massive miss. And I think it's taking them both. So like, it would be a fair way down it would be saying, like, that's a really good result and it's blown my mind. I get the result. I've shattered the glass ceiling. And in doing so, what I've done is I can take a lot of credit for making that shift, and I've made it really quickly. What I've realised is that if I broke this glass ceiling, I've realised how high the ceiling was and how far away from it actually did in January. Yeah. Now I've got a new target to hit. Now I've got a new goal to reach. Now I've got a new ceiling to break through. What do you need to do to get that?
So maybe it's the aspect of that gap now being so much bigger that makes you think, feeling a bit more negative about it. Do you know what I mean? So like, you break the 10k, what's next? 50k. It's like, that's the kind of thing that you look at. It's not even like 15 or 20. It's like, you break 10k, likelihood is you're now on a platform that you could fucking smash 50 and go really, really high with it. So maybe it's an element of that as well. It's like, now I know that I've almost exposed myself that can be done. Yeah. There might be a pussy part of me that's like... Old,
you were the biggest fish in the pond, move you out the pond, now you're the smallest fish in the pond. Yeah. You went from the, I know, to now, well, I'm really out of my depth here.
And that generally shows you, though, like, that you'd always get that. Like, you always get to the point where maybe you make $1 million and then you sit in a room with guys that are making 10 million. Yeah. And then maybe you make 10 million, you're sitting in a room with guys that are making 100 million. And you always get that. But, which I think is, as I said, it's very healthy, I think, to focus on that, as long as you're also considering how far you have came and giving yourself credit.
I mean, the other thing to measure it is not just in the monetary sense, it's like the growth, like your development, the shifts. Like, the money is a one way of measuring it, but look at the shifts that you've made. You've killed the procrastination, you've killed the fear, you've killed the doubt, you've killed the anxiety, right? You've started to take action, you've started to move, and you're starting to ask the right questions. You took a few wrong turns, and you're learning, you're developing, you're growing. Yep. And then you're also noticing really quickly when you're taking the wrong step, and then getting back to the right step really quickly.
Yeah,
So the growth isn't just measured in the money. The money's a good way to measure it, but it's not the only way.
that's a good,
And you've
really
had
good
a
reinforcement.
massive shift. Who you are 3 months ago is not who you are today.
Nah. It's actually not even comparable. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to go back into that headspace of being that guy.
There was a hard line where that chapter ended and the new one's begun.
Yeah, 100%, 110%. That's what I'm saying about the kind of shifts as well that you've had with me working with me. Same things that I do with my clients. The exact same things. It's like they cannot recognize who they were. Like guys are coming to me. Say, for example, one of my clients came to me like 59 kg, right? Now he weighs 78 kg and he's starting a fucking business.
Yeah.
When he came to me, he couldn't string a sentence together. He didn't have the confidence to speak with his chest.
Yeah.
Now he's like nearly 20 kg up and starting his own business. So it's like the shifts that I've had, it's that everyone can do it. Every single person can do it.
Feel good getting the results for people.
Really good, really good. But it's like almost, I don't know if you get this, but like, see, because you know it can happen, it's almost not that exciting when it happens because you're like, fucking, I knew it was there anyway.
Yeah.
Do you get that at all?
Yep.
It's like, you're not like, fucking, oh wow, Kyle smashed that target.
You don't have the disbelief that it happened because you believed it would happen. But you still feel really good that somebody got a good result.
Yeah, of course. But I don't feel like
it's more like, I knew they would get it.
Yeah, because
rather than, I can't believe they got that.
Yeah.
It's different.
That's what changes me as a coach as well. It's like, I've got so much certainty in the client seeing the result now because I've done it myself and I've seen other clients do it. I'm not in any way insecure as a coach that they wouldn't get it. So I give money back guarantee to all my clients. I generally say to them, like, you don't have a shift in the next 3 months or 6 months of us working together and you're in a completely different place, I'll give you all your money back. And it's because it's like, if you do what we've spoke about doing, the vision, the direction, and you start and actually do it, there's no chance that you cannot succeed. Like, success is inevitable, like, at that point. And yeah, I've got complete certainty in that, like, to the point where I don't know who could actually make me doubt that. Like, I generally can't see if someone done the VDS and actually shifts into alignment with the guy that they see in the vision or the woman they see in the vision. Because I've actually had a female client come on board that she wants to like scale her business, that which is quite cool. But it's the same thing. It's like, there's no chance that you cannot, if you have the vision, if you are in alignment with the person in that vision, you can't do it. You can't not do it. You can't not succeed. And again, another thing as well I wanted to reinforce was the person in the vision as well. Like you one of the things you mentioned to me was, cool, you're acting like this guy now, but you're still, like, the way that you're maybe speaking or the way that you're dressing, it's not really in alignment with that guy. And it did make me think, I was like, the person that I see in my mind getting out of the AMG, whatever the car that I've got, he wasn't dressing like how I was before. And I seen a different guy in my vision, and therefore I've started to dress a bit cleaner and align with that person. And that's what a lot of people I don't think do, is they don't pay attention to the small things like how they dress. Like they still wear the hoodie they wore when they were depressed and smoking weed. And like they look in the mirror and they see the same person physically, instead of like maybe buying like a new top or like starting to align a little bit more with that person. I think that's been a really, like, I know it seems like quite a small thing, but dressing differently for me has actually been quite a big difference to how I feel and operate.
I mean, it's like, it's how you present yourself. It's that presentation.
So important.
And it's like when you go to a big meeting or you go to, a business deal, people are going to judge how you come across. Have you made an effort? Are you, clean cut? Do you look as if you've been out the night before? They're going to make all these judgments. They want to see who they're doing business with.
Yeah.
And we're in the people business. Doesn't matter. People like people that are like themselves, or people they want to aspire to. And you need to be at your best. And it's like those things is, it's a difficult art today, because it's not to say, like we had the conversation on the call, was like, do you think you should wear a suit? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. And it was that whole thing. And it's like, that's not, I'm saying that you should wear a suit. No, you are. I'm like, no, you said that you should wear a suit. And I'm like, no. But just think of how you're coming across.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you do? You're like, no, this is who I want to, this is how I see my guy in the vision.
Mm-hmm.
How I see me in the vision getting out my AMG Mercedes is this guy. And you changed. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm in alignment.
Exactly.
People actually treat you differently as well. So like, I was in a petrol station before I came here, and he was like, fucking hell, looking smart, bro. Where are you going? And I was like, this is just me, bro. It's just a dress.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's fucking class, mate. It's class. And he actually asked, oh, have you got Instagram with that? And I just fucking connected with him. But It's funny how people do perceive you completely differently, and
100%, mate.
it's like it's only until you change.
They say you shouldn't be judged, but everybody's judging.
Everyone's judging,
Everyone's judging.
but you're judging. Most importantly, you're judging yourself. So it's like the way I judge myself. Again, wearing a hoodie and compared to wearing like an overshirt and a tight top, it doesn't seem like a big difference.
Yeah.
But anyone listening to this right now, when you go out for dinner, right, and you put a bit of effort and you feel clean,
Yeah.
you feel so much better than waking up in the morning and sticking a hoodie on. You feel so much better. Why would you not just do that all the time? Like that way you can feel all the time. I know that you don't really align with that because I know you like wearing a suit, but it doesn't change how you feel when you necessarily. Well, does it? Like why
you feel good in a suit. Like you feel good.
But you don't
because
you don't cut about in that.
No, I do if I've got something to wear a suit to. I mean, I wouldn't wear a suit in the gym, for instance. But if like I was, I had a really professional kind of podcast I wanted to speak about, I'd wear a suit.
Oh, I've seen you actually.
I'd wear a suit because it's like if you want to show that you're prepared to make the effort. Got a business meeting, traveling somewhere, something where you want to pay attention to your detail. You want to look the part. I gave you the analogy that imagine that you had a fire in your house and there's a pot in the cooker and there's flames seeping out the top of it. You phone the fire brigade and the fire brigade say, great, we've got an engine around the corner. Don't worry, we'll be there in a flat, just a jiffy. You hear that, whoa, 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 and the sirens come round the corner and the engine comes to a stop, blue lights are flashing, they're hitting off the house, people come out and they're like, what's going on? You're like, don't worry, the firemen are going to come here. The door opens and out jumps a guy and he's got a mankini on. What's the first thing you think? You don't think, let me show you where the burning pot is. The first thing you think is, are you a fireman?
Actually,
who are you? Have you stole the truck?
Yeah. So,
but if the same guy jumped out and he had a fireman's outfit on, you wouldn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for someone that looks a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's like just if there's a way that you can match what you're looking to do with the way that you appear, take it.
Yeah, 100%. 110%. Big shift. That's been
so well done. Been a great result. It's been awesome to go over it with you. It was a roller coaster, loads of resistance, loads of changes, massive shift. Like the result in terms of the finances has been great. It's been a massive bump, massive boost.
Yeah.
But the biggest change has been in who you are, who you see yourself as, and what you think you're capable of. And more importantly, you're learning the tools and the art of how to get the most out of yourself. And it's something you'll keep developing, you'll always work on, because you never stop. You never want to stop growing because it's an exciting, thrilling way to live your life. And as you develop, you're going to develop yourself. You're going to take yourself to new higher levels. And what that'll also do is allow you to become better as a coach. And as you become better as a coach, you're going to be taking your clients to higher levels. And that's going to rise as you rise. And the only way that you stop, it's impossible. I've told you you're wired for success now.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you try, you can't fail. But the only person that can stop you is you. And you're building the resistance, you're building the discipline, you're building the focus, you're building the vision, you're taking all the right actions. And even now, up until last night, the resistance was as intense as it can be.
Yeah.
And now there was a time in the past where you'd have made the decision the other way. And now that is a symbol and a sign of who you're becoming, because you're now going the other way. And that same decision principle will affect other decisions, that will affect other decisions, that will affect other decisions, that will have an upward draft. You'll start to spill up the way.
Yeah, 100%.
So well done.
Biggest way to measure if you've changed as a person is if you're in the same environment, but you act differently.
Yes.
So that's obviously a big thing that I've reinforced as well, is like the way that I'm now acting is not how, like you said, old Cow would have acted in this position. You know what I mean? He would have gave up a long time ago. So 100%, it's really good. But for anyone that's listening and is thinking, there's definitely a better version of me that I want to become. There's definitely like a better life that I can live and step into. You're right, 100% right. And the only thing, like Gio said, that's stopping you doing it is you. And the reason why you've got that vision or idea in your head of becoming better is because it's possible for you to become better. There are people that don't have that vision. There are people that don't have an idea in their head of becoming better because they're not supposed to. But if you do have it, it's there for you to step into and experience. So if you're listening to this and it's inspired you, do it. But if you can't do it yourself, reach out to me or Gio and let's get to work.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Mount Mindset. We've had Kyle in the hot seat telling you about his rapid ascension through mentorship, the power of having a mentor and the power of accountability. Sometimes it's rough, but it's not about what you want. It's about giving you what you need. And if his last 3 months are anything to go by, this rocket ship's not got any signs of slowing up, and it'll only get better from here. So we'll update you very, very soon. And if you want to give Kyle a follow, go and check him out on his Instagram page, see what he's up to, check out if he's still looking as fresh, if he's went back to the hoodie, or he's reaching for new heights. I think I know the direction he'll go, but it's worth keeping him tabs, keeping him accountable. And if you like what he's doing and you want to get some mentorship, you want to see what's going on behind the scenes, get on a call with him. You'll see the energy, you'll see the buzz, you'll see what he's doing. He's young, he's hungry, he's motivated, and he's putting it out there. And he's already shifting and changing people's lives. And if you think back to what you were doing when you were 24, it's an inspiration to see that this guy's getting out there along with his brothers and pushing the boundaries and seeing what's possible. So it's great to see, and it'll be great to follow along and see what he does next, and see how long it takes him to hit that big million. But from me this week, that's a wrap.